let's get right to some of the specific issues. The FBI reported 300 refugees admitted to the United States are currently under investigation for potential terrorist activity. How many of those 300 are from those 6 Muslim-majority countries on this list?
We've heard this before, Wolf. I mean, things that are under investigation, particularly the FBI at the level at which they investigate, not a lot is shared until those investigations are complete and then passed down to the relevant agency to deal with. So I don't know how many are from those 6.
Is this new intelligence that you've gotten since 6 weeks ago when you originally released your initial ban?
A number of weeks ago, this was intelligence that was law enforcement classified. Now it's not.
Are most of these 300 from these 6 countries? Can you give us a ballpark figure?
No details on the investigations other than that there's roughly 300 under investigation.
From all over the world?
I suspect from all over the world.
All right, let's talk a little bit about your Department of Homeland Security just came out with its own intelligence assessment that finds most of the foreign-born violent extremists here in the United States have been radicalized after entering the United States. This is the Department of Homeland Security intelligence assessment, declassified, made public. Does that undercut the need for this travel ban?
If you're referring to the one that was leaked, to the report that was leaked, we were actually waiting and this was a pre-decisional draft report. We were waiting for the FBI to provide information as to numbers, which they have. So I think the report that you're referring to was pre-decisional draft. In the open press, we found that there was no way we could tell the numbers of individuals from those 7 countries.
But in general, have most of the violent extremists who are being watched right now, have they been radicalized here in the United States, or did they come here from whatever country with a plot to kill Americans?
That's what's under investigation, a part of it. The 300 are refugees, not self-proclaimed radicals from inside the United States. 300 are refugees who came here from another land. I would think the investigation will go after one of the parts of the investigation will be, were they radicalized when they came or were they radicalized after they got here?
But don't you think you needed that intelligence before you released this new travel ban that affects these 6 Muslim-majority countries?
Remember, the travel, you refer to it, many refer to it as a travel ban. We've always looked at it as a pause from those 7 nations, now 6, until we can get our arms around exactly how good we can vet individuals from those countries. And the fact of the matter is, with the exception of Iraq, generally speaking, we don't have embassies in those countries. 3 of the 6 now are designated as terrorist supporters, by the State Department. Most of them are countries in collapse, and we can't rely on the information.
But here's the concern.
Let me finish if I could. We can't rely on those governments providing us any useful information to vet.
Here's the concern that a travel ban like this involving these 6 Muslim-majority countries will be fodder for ISIS, Al-Qaeda to recruit new terrorists.
Just to remind, the 7 now 6 were the exact same countries that the United States Congress was concerned with and put on their list. The Obama administration put on their list. It was an obvious place to start. I don't take the point that the Islamic extremists are prompted to do more extremism because of these kind of things. I mean, it flies in the face of why Khobar Towers, why the Marine bombing or the barracks bombing, why 9/11. I mean, they seem pretty angry at us leading up to this. So I don't buy the issue that
because, as you know, they're calling it a Muslim ban.
But it's not a Muslim ban.
But these countries are all Muslim countries.
There are 1.7 billion Muslims on the planet. There are something on the order of 51 overwhelmingly Muslim countries. We had 7, now 6, to the tune of maybe a couple of 100 million predominantly Muslims that were put on the list. And it's a pause as we look at ways that we can better vet these countries. And these countries represent 6 or 7 that we knew about. We're now looking at other countries, and when we come up with additional vetting to protect the nation better than it's been protected, there will probably be other countries we will look at and say, okay, we want you to improve.
So you think they're going to expand that list?
I don't believe that the list will be expanded, but there are countries out there that we will ask, like Iraq has done, by the involvement of their prime minister to cooperate with us better, to get us the information we need to safeguard the country.
So what other countries might be added to that?
Well, there's a number of them out there. I don't want to speculate, but there's probably 13 or 14 other countries, not all of them Muslim countries, not all of them in the Middle East, that have very questionable vetting procedures that we can rely on. And then if we overlay additional vetting procedures, the chances are those countries, there will be minimum citizens from those countries that visit our country.
President Trump, at a news conference, said that you personally had told him the original travel ban had to be enacted immediately. That was his word, because of security. It's now been delayed, for 6 weeks or so. Doesn't that undermine the emergency component of this? Because now it's going to be delayed for at least another 10 days.
Right. Clearly, the courts have decided that they are in a position to understand the threat against the United States better than people like me or the intelligence agencies. So at this point in time, with a 30-day delay, generally speaking, because of the court action, we wanted to roll this out in a way that we did not have the opportunity to do the first time around.
Let me get to some other sensitive Homeland Security issues while I have you. Are you, the Department of Homeland Security, considering a new initiative that would separate children from their parents if they try to enter the United States illegally?
Let me start by saying I would do almost anything to deter the people from Central America to getting on this very, very dangerous network that brings them up through Mexico into the United States. And I would underline that the Mexicans are after this network in the same way we are. It's extremely dangerous. I wouldn't say 100%, but certainly in the high 90%, and this is by the social service organizations that inform me from Central America that the vast majority of the young women, all women, are sexually abused along this trip. But my point
let
is...
Let me just be precise.
Right.
If you get some young kids who are coming in, manage to sneak into the United States with their parents, are Department of Homeland Security personnel going to separate the children from their moms and dads?
We have tremendous experience in dealing with unaccompanied minors. We turn them over to HHS, and they do a very, very good job of either putting them in kind of foster care or linking them up with parents or family members in the United States. Yes, I am considering, in order to deter more movement along this terribly dangerous network, I am considering exactly that. They will be well cared for as we deal with their parents.
But you understand how that looks to the average person who is,
It's more important to me, Wolf, to try to keep people off of this awful network.
Hovering over our discussion right now is the big headline of the day, this amazing charge from the President of the United States that President Obama personally ordered a surveillance of Trump Tower in New York during the campaign. Now, you're privy to sensitive information. Are you familiar with that? Do you believe that? You've worked with both of these presidents.
I don't know anything about it other than when I was sitting in the off studio here watching CNN. If the President of the United States said that, he's got his reasons to say it. He's got some convincing evidence that took place.
What possibly could that convincing evidence be?
I don't pretend to even guess as to what the motivation may have been for the previous administration to do something like that.
You work closely with the FBI Director, James Comey, and
He's my friend.
he's your friend. You have confidence in him.
I do have
according to a source very close, he's incredulous how President Trump could make this accusation against President Obama.
With due respect to sources, I have been wronged so many times in the last 6-7 weeks as the Secretary of Homeland Security by sources that were dead wrong. I'm not suggesting in this case, but that were dead wrong. I don't go much on single sources anymore.
If he went public, and we're out of time, if Comey went public and said this never happened, as Clapper did, the former Director of National Intelligence, would you believe Comey?
I would expect Jim Comey to then turn that over to some investigative arm, and we could get to the truth, or to the bottom line. Again, Jim Comey is an honorable guy. So is the President of the United States, and the President must have his reasons.